Welcome back, everybody, to the Awesemo.com Nhl Dfs strategy show. 9 games to discuss. We got 55 minutes to do it. I am joined by my usual Monday partner in crime. It's Tuesday, though. What's up, Terry? How you doing? Ready for this 9-gamer?
Yeah, man, it should be a good one. Looks like a pretty fun slate, pretty interesting. Glad to be back in the booth here with you. Had Josh on yesterday. I did the hosting role, and that was interesting. But yeah, a little back to normal here, except for the day of the week. So liking it. How was your trip? Good?
It was good, yeah. I checked in and watched a bunch of good combos. Cliff and Josh obviously have quite a few shows under their belt, and then I saw you and Josh yesterday. Did a good job, as I knew you guys would. So everybody was in good hands. Now you get to look at me, I guess, for the rest of the season. And we got about a month left. Baseball going on. There's just a ton of stuff on the site, and I'm looking at like the one-stop shop every day that's got all of our shows listed, just like the master schedule. And man, there's like so many hours of content. Like there's barely any time. I know the producers are very, very excited about that. Not having a ton of time off. But
Tyler, who was saying that he needed more hours before the show. So if anybody out there's listening, Tyler's looking for more work.
Yeah, exactly. So he said he didn't get enough hours in last week. He's not going to get enough in this week. So maybe we can put him up to a couple more shows. But yeah, man, there's just so much going on. Glad to be back. Glad to be playing some NHL DFS. Had a couple of decent lineups last night. The bunting hat trick did help me. I was looking pretty bad for a while there, but got most of my entries back. There's a $15 queue tonight on one site, so I'll be chasing after that. And excited for this last month. What do you think of this 9-gamer here? Any initial thoughts? You surprised at all where the chalk's at, or are things kind of in line with where you thought?
I think it's relatively in line in terms of, some of the top lines that I would expect would be getting attention seem to be the lines getting some attention. One thing that kind of just stood out for me when I was going through just the entire slate, putting together some of the line data, there's not a lot of good third line choices on this slate. It doesn't seem like, unless a few stood out to you. For me, it's just, it's all about the top twos. I flagged like 1 or 2 of them going through through all the different teams, but there's just not a ton of threes that really stand out. So we'll get into some of that and, go diving into some of the more value stacks. But I think it's going to be, lots of 1s and 2s getting stacked up. So if you can find that right 3, could be the key to a nice finish in the slate.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for having 9 games on the slate, there's not a ton of options I feel amazing about, and especially depth lines. Like there's a couple. We'll talk about San Jose. That's the last game of the night. We'll get there, and you've got like some other good secondary stacks, but feels like we're about 4 or 5 stacks shorter than what I would usually have on a 9-gamer. So ownership going to be important, as it always is. We've got ownership projections up on the site. If you're a premium member, we've got projections for free today. And then while I'm at it, I'll just read off what else we got going on for free content. So MLB top stacks, mentioned MLB's going on. If you haven't quite gotten into it and you want to hand build some lineups, or if you're using optimizers, MLB top stacks. So I think is the best tool on the site if you're just looking to get an overall view of the slate on one page. So big comprehensive view. You get to see who's over owned, who's under owned, just like the NHL top stacks if you're familiar. We've got it for NFL. We've got it for pretty much every sport that involves stacking. So that's unlocked for today. NBA projections as well. Those are going to be free. And then the PGA Pro Plays. I hear there's a pretty big tournament going on starting in a couple of days, Terry. I don't know. Have you heard of this Masters tournament?
Is it Masters? Masters is the name? I thought it was like experts or experienced guys or something like that. It's Masters is the one. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so if you guys want to get in on a really special promo we've got going on, it's promo code Dustin. You can get 60 days of Awesemo plus golf for $29.95. That's buy one, get one free. So you buy a 1 month, you get the second month free. And that'll cover the PGA Championship in May. So you're getting 2 full major slates as well as the tournaments in between the majors. So that is about as good of a deal as we have. We usually don't have a lot of monthly offers. Every once in a while we'll get a season offer, but for monthly, Awesemo Golf monthly, $29.95, buy 1 month, get the second month free. That is promo code Dustin if you guys want to take advantage of that. And then also got to mention off the top, starting 9, we still got that going on. 9 days of Awesemo plus MLB for $9. So go check that out if you're looking to get 9 days of MLB for just $1 a day. You can use that top stacks tool if you want to see what you would get, as well as projections, ownership projections. And then one of my favorite things, because the NHL show is not at the same time as the stream that Alex does, and Alex and Sean's on, and Steve, I think, does some of those for NBA, and you do those on Saturday for NBA. Are you doing those for MLB too?
Yeah, I kind of change up whatever I feel like talking about that day, or whatever I've got to actually work on that day. I kind of use it as a little cheat for my afternoon to be able to get some stuff done. But yeah, I'm doing them on Saturdays and Fridays now. Yeah.
So if you guys have not looked, a premium feature, we don't do a lot of premium video content, but one thing we do is the game plans. We do it for NBA and then for MLB. So I'm looking to be a little bit better at MLB this season. Didn't have a great year last year. Felt a little off my game. And so I've been watching Alex the last couple of days. It's been him, and he's been doing some Excel work. So that is reason alone to join, I think. Very valuable stuff. You can learn some Excel tips as well as how to rank out lineups. So just go watch the past two if you haven't. Use promo code starting9 to get in on the action, if for nothing else than those game plan videos. Super, super valuable information from some of the top players in the world, including Alex himself. All right, let's get into this.
I totally redid my baseball sorting table just based on what he was doing in the show. I just said, that's a much cleaner way to do it. And I just, completely wiped out what I had been doing for a couple of years and rebuilt it on that. And by the way, that golf promo that you mentioned, 2 majors in that thing. That's pretty killer to get 2 majors covered by that, because that's where most people come in to play golf anyway, is around the majors. So getting 2 out of that, pretty sweet. Do you play a lot of fantasy golf?
I don't. I do play the majors, though. I need to go back to that sorting video, that lineup ranking video, and revamp my process for not only MLB, but for PGA as well. Yep. So that might be a nice way to get a little edge there and make lineups for a guy that doesn't know anything about fantasy golf. As you guys know, JockMKT is the sponsor of the show. Awesemo NHL 50 is the promo code right now if you want to get a $50 bonus on your first deposit. Again, Awesemo NHL 50. If you haven't checked out JockMKT, it's basically the stock market, but for DFS. You can buy and sell players in real time with real money and guaranteed payouts for all shares at the end of the night. And you kind of use your own analysis to buy, sell, or hold during the game. Again, Awesemo NHL 50 for a $50 bonus on your first deposit. This is only exclusive to the Awesemo community, so you guys are getting a really good deal if you're looking to grind another site. And it's a little bit different than the other ones you guys might be familiar with, but a great site to play some DFS on. JockMKT, thanks for sponsoring the show as always. And let's see, we've got 9 games to get through, so let's start with the Sabres and the Devils. 2.4 implied total for the Sabres, 3.1 for the Devils. Linus Ullmark and it is not Mackenzie Blackwood. It is Scott Wedgwood. So we'll get that updated in the lineup builder. Wedgwood going for the Devils. Taylor Hall, game time decision for the Sabres. That's a yikes for a team that's already had a number of those this season. So they're just decimated. Devils, not like they're an amazing team, but I think they've got some stackable options here. You got Hughes with, I don't know how to pronounce their names. So Hughes centering the top line, where Zajac used to be. Zajac down with Andreas Janssen and Merkley. Zaka with Wood and Jesper Bratt. I believe those lines were confirmed earlier at Morning Skate. What are you liking in this one?
Yeah, I think we can, get away with getting to some Devils. This Sabres team is just, they're flat bad. Last in the league in goals scored with 79, 27th in the league, giving up 126 goals. Just there's not a lot to like on that side of the ice. So I think we can get to some of the Devils. They're not totally great either. 29th in the league with 88 goals scored this season, 28th on the power play at a 12.38% power play, going up against the 16th ranked penalty kill at 79.59%. It's not a game I love for what we're doing here, but I think, if we're going to anything in this game, it's probably going to be the Devils' top couple lines. So you get Hughes with, I'll take a crack at it, Kukakinen and Sharangovich.
Kukakanen? I think that one always scares me. I don't know why, but and then I think it's Sharon Govich, but his name always gets cut off in the lineup builder, so I don't want to mispronounce all these European guys' names.
Kuko and Sarango. Yeah, I think we can go to those guys a little bit. So you get that line. We've got like a 30-minute sample, essentially. 65.56% Corsi 4 percentage, Scored once, given up 2. So it's a 33% goals for actual, but they've got a 78.47% expected goals for advantage. They're leading 6-0 in high danger chances, haven't converted on them. So they generated a couple chances in the very limited sample that they've got. They just haven't put the puck in the net. So I think if they keep that up, we'll see some of those chances get converted. On the second line, you get Johansson and Zajac as a duo, 41-49 together, 63.7% Corsi for, 3-2 goals for advantage, 2-1 in high danger. Not a ton of sample with a lot of these guys skating together, which is where we struggle. On the third line, if you wanted to go down to Pavel Zacha and Jesper Bratt playing together, you get a little bit of a bigger sample, 323 minutes together, a 51% Corsi for. They're trailing in goals 19-28, though, at even strength, 40% actual versus a 49.05 expected goals for advantage, 52-61 in high danger chances, 8 scored, 17 high danger given up. So that third line's been a bit of a problem going back the other way, but they do seem to have a little bit of skill, at least between Bratt and Zacha on that line. So if you wanted to get to that one, I wouldn't begrudge it completely. There's not a lot of ownership and they're not expensive, so they kind of fit in with some of the other top stacks. That would be the way to play this team, though, I think.
Yeah, I think the Devils are very viable. Just want to quick point out, no Hall actually tonight. He's confirmed out. Our favorite troll, Seth, in the chat posted, that was about an hour ago, so I missed that when I was doing some of my crunches. I don't think I was going to play much of the Sabres anyways, but I'm pretty much completely off of them. They're just a mess right now, and basically for the last 25 or so games since Eichel's been out. I like the Hughes line quite a bit. With Zajac up there, they were very good. I think Hughes is a much better center than Zajac. Obviously, maybe he doesn't jive as well with those two guys, but I'm willing to take a chance before we get a sample. So I would rank the Devils lines, Hughes line, I think my favorite by a good margin. Then I like Zacha line, and then Zajac, Janssen, and Merkley after that. But definitely some interest on the Devils. Ty Smith.
The ownership that we've got on Zajac and Hughes is going to flip, because it looks like we've got Zajac at 5.5. Yeah, that makes sense, right?
Yeah, so I think we ran that before we had confirmed lines. We were using the older lines. Hughes will be owned. He's not going to be under 1%.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to call out. I figured that would catch an update at some point.
For sure. Yeah, so we'll get that fixed. It'll get more accurate as the day goes on. If you guys are unaware, we run ownership early in the morning, so you got a good idea. Things will get updated. In NHL, it won't change too much throughout the day. But as you get some news, you get some pieces that'll change. It won't be like NBA where things can just get completely flipped at the last second, as you know, Terry. So,
or 5 minutes after lock if you're Draymond Green.
Yeah. Well, I don't know the reference, but I'm sure he screwed over a bunch of people.
Yeah, just like last week. That was the most recent one of the post-lock scratches.
Yeah, I see a lot of people complaining on Twitter about NBA DFS, and it just makes me happy that I don't play. I've thought about trying to play it, and I couldn't imagine doing that plus NHL on the same night.
Protect your sanity. Just stick with the nice, easy one. The casual, just like walk up to line. That's what I've been enjoying about baseball too. It's just like lineups 4 hours in advance of lock. I can just build these and put them in and not worry. Oh, it's so nice.
It is really nice.
To think. Yeah.
I think I'm going to take a stab at baseball tonight. I haven't played just yet because I've been out of town, but I think I'm going to give it a try tonight once I get my sheet updated and rewatch some of those videos that Alex has done.
Right on.
Let's go to the Caps and Islanders. 2.9 implied total for the Isles, 2.7 for the Caps. Vanacek, and I'm seeing Sorokin on a couple sites. I don't know the status of Varlamov. I may have missed a piece of news there. I missed the Leo Komarov Isles 1 slate on, I think that was Thursday night. They had a huge night against these same Capitals. I want to say it was Thursday. It might have been Friday. Anyways, I think we're going to see the Nelson, Beauvillier, Bailey line, probably see some time against Kuznetsov, Ovi, and Oshie, and then probably some of the third line against that top line for the Caps. So the Isles are a tough team for me to break down here because you got the Komarov situation on line 1. Not a great player for DFS, but he's dirt cheap and will probably get left off. Do you like anything in this game? Does anything stand out to you?
Yeah, I think, it probably is justifiable going to some of those Islanders lines considering they're coming in so low owned and they're pretty talented. You mentioned the Komarov piece on that first line. So if you wanted to stack them as maybe the power play, look at it that way, take Barzal and Eberle and then put him with Bavalier or with Leddy off the blue line, something like that. Even if you wanted to grab Martin down all the way, he's playing on the fourth line, but it looks like he's the last part of that power play for tonight. Min price on DK at 2.5. So you can do some interesting things putting them together. It's just a matter of where they're going to come through for us and which combination of those guys is going to score. Second line, you get a solid little sample, 418-minute sample, slightly below average, 48.5 Corsi for, but nothing to really worry about there. On their goals for, they're at a 48.48 actual goals for, but a 56.16 expected goals for advantage. So they're trailing a little bit behind what their expectations should be, gotten a little unlucky. They generated 92 high danger chances and only yielded 59 and have a 10-7 advantage in conversions there. So just converting a few more of those would turn around that goals for advantage pretty quickly. So I think line 2 is definitely worth a look there on the Islanders side of things. I think, the obvious line that jumps off the top is the Caps line 1, of course. I think a lot of people will probably be considering that. Although taking a look at the top stacks tool, they rank down around 10th overall. And it looks like they get a little bit of positive leverage there. So they're not the top end in terms of cost. They're among the higher ranked teams in terms of lines, in terms of probability of being one of our top lines. I think that could be a good line to go to in a spot. I actually expected that they would be a little bit more owned than that. So if people aren't going there and they're not priced all the way through the roof, I think that can make some sense. That's a solid line to get to, even in a tough matchup against, like you said, a pretty good team here. Let's see. Second line there, small sample with the second line, 56% Corsi for with this current construction, 45% expected goals for, 7-7, pretty even up in their high danger chances. So for me, it would probably be about that top line from the Caps, and then the lines I mentioned on the Isle side.
Yeah, and if anybody missed it, we ran it with Eller, Kuznetsov, or Eller, Ovechkin, and Oshie. This morning in morning skate, it was Kuznetsov with Ovechkin and Oshie. So I was just double checking that I saw two different things in FC and then the lineup builder. So we'll get those updated. But yeah, I mean, even with Kuznetsov up there, like they've been solid at 5-on-5. They haven't been great, and they certainly haven't been great defensively. So I'm definitely on the Isles side here. Not really crazy about anything on the Cap side. Maybe if you wanted to go to some Backstrom, Wilson, and Sheary, that'd be fine. They're reasonably cheap and probably going to get the Barzal Eberle line, which is a little bit higher event. But I'm struggling to find things that I'm in love with in this game. So we'll probably stick to some Isles, each of the top two lines. But I don't see getting over the field in any big way on either of the top two. It's just kind of a whatever game here for me. And there's a few of those that will be upcoming for me. But maybe you can talk me onto something a little bit later. Anything else you want to point out here, forwards or blue line?
Nothing jumps off the top. Pulak's a guy I mentioned most of the times that we talk about the Isles. Came through the other day and getting them around 5-ish% ownership on both sides. So I don't hate that if you're going to their side. Leddy on the power play correlation if you wanted to go that way. But nothing really leaps off the shelf. Love to see Zdeno Chara's name still in the NHL. Makes me feel like I've still got a sports career ahead of me.
Like year 35, something like that.
Has he been in the league longer than Tyler's been alive? That's the real question.
It's close.
Got to be close.
It's neck and neck. Yeah, I think, what is it, 23 years, 22 years, something like that.
Tyler's 22.
Tyler's 22. All right, so I think Chara might have him beat, which is absolutely insane to be playing a professional sport for that long. But these guys are crazy. Let's go to – what's that?
Just saying at a high level, I mean, because
exactly. Yeah, even crazier. Let's go to the Penguins and the Rangers. We've got a 2.9 implied total for the Pens, 3.1 for the Rangers. Jari and Shesterkin are your confirmed goalies for both sides. I'm seeing Zibanejad, Kreider, and Buchnevich, Strome, Panarin, and Colin Blackwell. Same lines as usual for the Penguins. Crosby, Gensel, and Rust, McCann, Zucker, and Evan Rodriguez. Decent totals on both sides, and we're showing some pretty hefty ownership on Pit 1. Do you agree with that here, Terry?
Let me see what it actually is before I answer that. I was just flipping. I realized I had Kincaid in there still. Yeah, that is a little heavy. Going up against this Rangers team, it should be a pretty active back and forth kind of a game, but that might be a little bit disrespectful to my Rangers. They are 10th in the league, only 97 goals against. They've got the 4th ranked penalty kill, 85% penalty kill. I feel a little bit disrespected by that one, but that top line's good. I mean, that's the current construction, 377 minutes, 54% Corsi for, 17 to 12 goal advantage with a 55.2 expected percent goal advantage, 78 to 62 in generating high danger chances, converted 11 and only given up 7. I can see where the public is at. You're getting to a Sidney Crosby. Everybody wants to roster him, obviously. Full power play correlation. You're paying up to do it, though. 2 pricey guys on that line between Gunsel and Crosby, and Russ doesn't come in much cheaper. So that's a very expensive line for that many people to be going to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a little surprised at the ownership because you're not getting a huge discount here. So when I saw the ownership, I was like, oh, what are they, like 18K? But no, they're 20,600. And so it's not like a really sexy slate. Like there's not like the McKinnons, there's not the McDavids, there's not Matthews. And so like I guess Pitt 1 is one of the better lines in the league. But it's not like they're generating, 3.5 expected goals for per 60, like we've seen for some of these lines. Like they're good. They're not amazing at 5-on-5, even though they started off super hot. I don't think the matchup is that great against Zibanejad, Kreider, and Buchnevich. That line's been pretty low event, at least defensively. I think they're going to be stuck on them pretty much the whole game. So if this ownership on Pitt 1 sticks, I think I'm pretty much out on them. I don't see myself getting to close to the field on MME. If it gets cut in half, maybe I'll change my tune a little bit. But yeah, right now, highest owned line, second highest owned line on the slate, right behind San Jose 1. But yeah, I would rather take San Jose 1 if it's going to be even remotely close between these two lines. So probably out on Pitt 1 unless something drastic changes. And then I suppose the Rangers power play. I mean, Strome, I think I'd rather go to Strome, Panarin, and Blackwell as a full line stack than the Zibanejad line. But that's just my preference for tonight. You're seeing a little bit lower ownership on Rangers 2, as we usually see. Probably going to get the better matchup against the McCann, Zucker, and Rodriguez line. So Rangers 2, and just monitor ownership on Pitt 1 because I could make a case for the spot, but not if they're going to be the highest owned line on the slate or close to it.
Yeah, and look, I mean, part of it, if you wanted to talk making a case for them, part of it top-ranked line on the top stacks board by a pretty wide margin in terms of being one of the top 2 stacks on DK. You're getting them up in the 20s, and they're positively leveraged. So they're not owned as much as they should be based on that. We are talking about an event-based sport. It's not the same as basketball where, you get a bunch of rates that just pile up and the guys become unavoidable chalk. But they do look like pretty good chalk, this Pitt line, even with that heavy ownership. There is still a little bit of room for upside there. So definitely a spot we want to pay close attention to, that ownership and that leverage mark. For me, in a sport like hockey or a sport like baseball, once that starts getting up into like the 17 to 20% ownership share for the team stack, I start maybe peeking around in other directions, even if it is close on the leverage number. And I think that makes sense here. What I'll say on the Rangers side of things, a little bit of a wild card with Vitaly Kravtsov on the team now. They're going to be moving him around and trying to find him a spot on one of these lines. He's not a 4th-line player, but that's where he's slated right now on daily faceoff. So I could see him dropping into that Blackwell spot on the 2nd line. More likely, I see them moving up one of the guys from the 3rd line, be it Kakko, Lafreniere, maybe Philip Hedl, and putting him into the 3rd line with the other kids. So just a bit of a wild card in what we're doing with our Rangers constructions there. But yeah, I like the power play a lot. I like the 2nd unit there, and I think I can get to some Rangers 1. I think they're a little bit underowned for the line that they are.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a good point about Kravtsov. How do you pronounce his name?
Kravtsov.
All right, I'll work on that one. But yeah, if he's, I mean, he's supposed to be a crazy good prospect. If he's up on line 2 at pregame skate, then yeah, give me some more Rangers 2. Blackwell is fine. He's 2,600, and you could just swap down if it ends up being Kravtsov on that line. So easy swap to make if he does move around a little bit. But that's a good call, something to be aware of heading into 6:35 Eastern or so when we start getting some of these line rushes. All right, let's go to the Bruins and the Flyers. 2.9 implied total for the Bruins, 2.6 for the Flyers. I got to look up this guy's name because I've got Vladar up on my screen. It is Jeremy Swayman going for the Bruins, down to like their fourth or fifth goalie, I think. And then Carter Hart for the Flyers. I think I mentioned the totals, but we'll mention them again. 2.9 for the Bruins, 2.6 for the Flyers. These two teams played last night. Anything you love here? Another lowish total game, like a lot of these are tonight. We gotta find something we like, right?
Yeah, eventually we're gonna have to roster one of these teams. I was just looking up how to spell Jeremy Swayman so I could pop him in here because I didn't have that. I think I got it right. Is Patrice Bergeron going to fall down on a game-winning goal again today?
So I didn't see that highlight. I saw some people talking about it in Slack, but I wasn't really watching the games last night.
I caught it on the highlights and just took a bad shot right into I forget who turned it around coming the other way, and then was skating backward trying to get back, and basically just tripped over the blue line going back the other way. And yeah, game-winning goal coming right off of it. So a bad decision and then a bad job trying to get back and cover for his bad decision. And that was the game. But I think that was the first time the Flyers beat the Bruins this year.
I can't remember. I can't remember a lot of games the Bruins have lost. I guess they haven't been amazingly good this season as they have in other years, but just kind of coasting until they get to the playoffs, it seems like. But yeah, seem to always have the Flyers numbers recently. Anything on the Flyers side, it is a tough matchup. Even going into having the Flyers at home going into Boston, they get to choose the matchups, but I don't really see anything I want to attack on this Bruins side.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of matchups, I think, and it's matchups between pretty good lines in terms of puck possession, puck control, what they do, generating chances on both sides. So it's going to be a rock and a hard place meeting in the middle here. We'll see what we get. Current construction of the first line for Boston's got a 73.08 Corsi 4 in a small sample, 5-1 goals for, with a 73.5% expected goals for advantage, 14-4 high danger chances, 3 up and converting them. Second line, 56.5 Corsi 4, 51.5% expected, so they're right up there. On the Philly side, you get that top line, 195 minutes together, 57.1% Corsi 4, so they're on the plus side. 50% expected goals for advantage, trailing in high danger chances, so they don't convert quite as many, give up a few more coming the other way, but they're a good unit. Second line and the third line there are in the 20s in terms of the sample size, but both excellent puck control numbers. Second line had some good goal advantage numbers, 66.49 expected, with a 5-2 high danger chances. So you can get into some of those, with the Giroux line, Giroux, Voracek, and Konecny there. You can get to those, and they're not going to be super expensive. But like we've talked about, they're just two kind of good teams with controlling the puck going back and forth. It just is unlikely to be an explosively high-scoring game, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. I think, more than likely it's not going to be a high-scoring game. I think if one team does go off, I like the Bruins side for their ownership, and on a slate that's ugly. Like, at least there's two playable lines here, one with really good 5-on-5 numbers, the Bergeron, Marchand, Craig Smith line. Although I kind of feel like a fish for playing Bergeron and Marchand without David Pastrnak, like arguably one of the best goal scorers in the league. However you want to rank him, he's at least top 3. So I think I'm going to have some full Boston power play stacks just because it's an ugly slate. I can see them putting up like 5 goals and it being concentrated on the top 2 lines and that being enough to win on a 9-game slate like this. So I'm just seeing the low ownership, 2 lines that I believe in. I like Richie for 4,600, especially playing with Pastrnak as a 2-man if you want to go there. Richie, Pastrnak, Bergeron, Marchand, or you could even do old Boston 1 if you want to do a little power play stack. There's a decent chance they end up taking some shifts during the game, so it's not like you can only get there on the power play. And so I like Boston here. I'll be over the field, I think, on both lines, assuming their ownership is staying in the range that it currently is. And then I can't remember what I said. I think I may have misspoke, and I said there's nothing I want to attack on the Bruins. What I meant was there's nothing that I want to play on Philadelphia going up against the Bruins, really, even though it is low ownership and the lines are cheap. I could see the second line being a sneaky, chalky filler for some of the more expensive lines. So probably out on the Flyers in terms of playing them outside of just lower owned fillers if you can, like this third line or something like that. So yeah,
Yeah, Bruins side of things, they're third in the league, 87 goals allowed on the year. They've got the top penalty kill in the league, 88.39% penalty kill. I mean, that's phenomenal. So, yeah. And then to your point about going back to the old Boston one as the power play unit, going up against the 29th ranked penalty kill in the league, 73.21% penalty kill for the Flyers. So that's pretty weak. So, yeah, I think you could definitely attack with that power play. That's a pretty good call there.
Yeah. Just taking some shots in the dark here. I mean, there's not a whole lot I love. So give me some Bruins here. Maybe they bounce back a little bit tonight against Carter Hart, who I saw a graph. I can't say who it was. I can't remember. So apologies. Some hockey writer tweeted out a graph, and like Carter Hart's been like the worst goalie in terms of goals saved above average. I think that's the stat. So he's been pretty awful. So I'll attack him one more time. It's worked out a bunch this season. And you can even play Grizzlock if you want for 5,100 in your Boston stack. I'm in on Grizzlock tonight with either Boston 1 or Boston 2.
Low owned, under 1% owned in the early update of projections. So yeah, combined with where the top of the forward lines are going to be coming in, yeah, you're probably going to get them at least under 5%, I would think. So.
Yeah, I will say I will only be playing Grizzlock in lineups with a Boston stack. I don't think he's a one-off guy. I think he can rack up a couple assists if you get the outlier Boston game. All right, let's go to the Panthers and the Hurricanes. 2.7 implied total for the Panthers, 3.3 for the Canes. Bobrovsky and Peter Mrazek is who I have penciled in here. Carolina, really tough team, as evidenced by the low total for the Panthers, which are I think they're leading the league in points so far this season, which is crazy. And they've had a number of injuries. They have Barkov back. They have Hornquist back. So they're close to full strength. And then you've got 3 playable lines, I think, for the Hurricanes, especially on tonight's slate. Top line, really the only one getting any sort of ownership. What jumps out to you here, Terry?
Yeah, another game with a couple of really good teams going up against each other. Panthers 56 points in their 39 games. They're 26-9-4 first in the Central. And the Canes are right there, 53 points in 37 games, so 2 games in hand. And they're third in the Central. So this is a good matchup between teams chasing one another. Looking at it in terms of where we want to get to, another tough call. I think we like the at least 2 pieces of the top line for the Canes. We get Jesper Fast on there now. So you got a 40-minute sample with Fast, and they're still pretty good. 58.33% Corsi for, very good puck possession. He's that kind of guy. 2-1 goals for advantage with a 59.3 expected, 10-5 in generating high danger. Taking Fast off of that line, of course, is where we have our real sample with Aho and Svechnikov. I always trip over Svechnikov. God. 552-minute sample with them. The 2 of them as a duo, 56% Corsi for, 38-27 goals for with a 53.61 expected advantage, 135-122 high danger, converting 27 and giving up 18 of those. So we know that there's quality there. We know basically what we're dealing with. Second line, similar situation. We get Jordan Martinook in there, but if you go just to Vinny Trocheck and Martin Necas, you get to a 313-25 sample, good Corsi numbers, good goal numbers, generating some more high danger chances. So I like getting to those top 2 lines, but we got the question marks of the combinations. Fast is not a bad player to put into that line. I think he could potentially do a little surprise, maybe come up with a surprise goal for people who do include him on that line. But it might make sense to look at that more of as a power play stack on the Carolina side of things and just go to that power play 1. Build in Dougie Hamilton and not worry about it, even though he's massively owned at like 20% ownership. And that top line for Carolina is going to be pretty highly owned as well.
Yeah. So this one's a little bit tough because I'll start on the Panthers side in terms of what I'm thinking about doing. Because I think you can definitely play the Panthers tonight, especially at the low ownership with Barkov and Carter Hagg. If people are just going to ignore them completely, like that's been one of the best duos in all of the NHL this year at 5-on-5, which is crazy. But for Hagee, he's fit in really nicely with Barkov up there. So I'm thinking about like Barkov for Hagee and one of Huberdeau or Hornquist as a 3-man. You could throw in Keith Yandel if you'd like for 3,900 and do some sort of power play stack there. And then I want a power play stack the Hurricanes. But just be careful if you do allow for that, because you're probably going to get some sort of like Aho, Trocheck, and Stahl, like triple center and 3 guys on 3 different lines. If you do 3-man power play stack it with Dougie Hamilton. So just be aware of what you're doing there. That's something I run into because Stahl usually he's not that cheap tonight, but when he is cheaper, sometimes he'll pop up there and you get 3 different guys on 3 different even strength lines. So I want at least a link at 5-on-5. So Aho, Svechnikov with one of Trocheck or Stahl if you wanted to do that. I prefer Trocheck, but the price difference is huge, $2,200 between those two. And then Trocheck, Niederreiter, and Netchus, I think, is probably my favorite full stack, including the ownership, the reduced ownership you're going to get on them. Going to go up against the weaker 5-on-5 lines against the Panthers. So definitely like a little bit on both sides, mostly ownership reasons for the Panthers. The Barkov line is going to get a tough matchup against Stahl. Just whoever he plays with, he's really good at limiting chances. So tough 5-on-5 spot. But, it's a line I believe in, and the ownership's low, and the rest of the slate, like there's some really ugly games here. So I'll take my chances on some lines I believe in at low ownership on a big slates like this.
Yeah, just to put a number on that Barkov and Verhaeghe combo, 339 minutes skating together as a duo, the two of them, 66.9% expected goals for advantage. So just tremendous performance from those two this season so far. So yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense getting to them, and you get the correlation there, and you can build them together with some of the rest of the guys from line 2 there and on the top power play. So definitely like it.
Love it. All right, number one way you can help us out if you guys. You like what we do, you like the 100 pieces of content, video content per week that we do. Tyler gave me a number in our DMs during the show, 100 pieces of content we have on our YouTube channel per week, which is insane. If you like that, number one way you can help us out is by subscribing to the channel. We do appreciate likes as well on the individual videos, but we want to get you to subscribe to the site and hit the notification bell, because that's going to tell you when we go live, not just for this show, but for every single show that we have. You'll get a few alerts per day from YouTube, so that's going to help you out. You won't forget about when we're going live. The schedule's going to be switching around because we've got 3 daily sports going on right now. So notification bell, very important. But you got to subscribe to the channel. That's the number one way you can help us out. Just want to mention a couple promo codes we've got going on right now. Starting 9 days of Awesemo plus MLB for $9, $1 a day. You get the top stacks, the ownership projections, boom bust tool. One of my personal favorites. I mean, I love the tools on the site. That's all I use for MLB. Like, I don't do any research. I just go on the site, load it up, rank out my lineups, and upload. One of the best ways you can get better by using the starting 9 promo code is just checking out the recent videos on the game plan. So that's some of the best players in the world, including Terry. You get Alex, you get Sean Zen, you get Steve Buzzard, DeColts. You guys have heard of him, all doing streams, sharing the screen, showing you how they're making lineups for not only slate specific stuff, but just like evergreen content as well. Some Excel tips you can learn. It's really good video, and it's only 30 minutes long per day. So it's not a lot of time investment, and you're going to learn some stuff. I promise you will learn some stuff. And then we've got promo code Dustin as well. That is 60 days of Awesemo Plus Golf for $29.95. There is the Masters coming up this week. There is the PGA Championship coming up in May. You'll get both of those if you sign up today. This offer is only valid through Sunday, April 11th. So you've only got until this Sunday, and you will get 2 months of Awesemo Plus Golf for the price of 1 with promo code Dustin. All right, we got, 15 minutes to get through our last 4. That's more than enough time. A couple bad ones coming up, at least a couple bad teams, including the Columbus Blue Jackets, which are hosting the Tampa Bay Lightning. Lightning 3.2 implied total, 2.2 for the Jackets. That's one of the lower home totals I've seen for a non-Detroit team all season. So just shows you how lopsided this one's expected to be. Vasilevsky and Korpisalo expected to go for their teams. Do you like anything on the Columbus side? You're seeing no ownership across any of the 3 lines.
Nothing really jumped out to me when I was putting it together. If you wanted to Chuck, in terms of these Corsi numbers, everybody except the 24-minute tiny sample that you've got on the top line playing together in this configuration, everybody's well below average in terms of puck possession. It's just a team to attack. You mentioned the Vegas total, and I think that makes a lot of sense and is a pretty strong indicator to look at the other team on this one. So nobody really jumped out to me on the Blue Jackets line. I guess if I had to pick one, it would be 2 with the correlation on the power play. A little bit of, they've got Jenner and Foligno have 571 minutes together, 48.93% expected goals for. So they're creeping up toward like a 50-50 flat matchup in what their expectation can be in scoring. I just don't really like very much on what is a pretty bad Blue Jackets team. 28th in the league, 126 goals allowed on the season, 21st ranked penalty kill, 77%. Just a team to go after, I think, by rostering some of these pretty dynamic Lightning players.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to have a strong stance on any of the Columbus lines. I will say I'm probably going to include the Texier, Bjorkstrand, Foodie line if that's going to be a thing. If that's going to be a thing is always the problem with Columbus. They love to switch things around. You guys have heard us talking about it a million times. And they're going into a great team, arguably the best team in the NHL, and a great defensive team with a great goalie as well. So it's going to be tough for the Blue Jackets to get there. They are all cheap, so I don't think you cross them out here despite the low total. You may only need a full line goal and one goal elsewhere to make them into an optimal lineup. So don't just X out teams just to X them out because it's a low total. At least that's the way I play. So yeah, that's enough about Columbus. I wish the Cirelli, Killorn, Stamkos trio was a little bit better at 5-on-5, but their ownership is low. So I think it's going to come up a little bit. Maybe some of that. Who's the stacker? Oh, Pit One. Maybe some of that ownership comes down. You get a little bit more to Tampa Bay. I think they're going to be a little more popular than what we're showing right now. You can power play stack them. Columbus, they're not a great offensive team, but they're not terrible defensively either. So this is another one that's pretty ugly for me. I think maybe my most exposure on the Tampa side might come with this third line, Yanni Gord, Coleman, and Barclay Goudreau.
You love that line.
I do. I always mention them. I always play them. And it feels like it never really works out. Like, I feel like we haven't had the Blake Coleman shorthanded goal game with the Tampa 3 full line goal combo. Like, they've been fine in terms of scoring. It feels like they get a goal most games, but they haven't had a big blow up performance. Maybe they can finally have one here at sub 1% ownership.
Yeah, well, that jibes with their actual goals for advantage versus their expected, 58.33 to a 60.26. So they're the only one of the Tampa top 3 that's not quite scoring up to expectation. The other 2 are actually exceeding expectation, doing pretty well on those top lines. 88.89% advantage for the top line is currently configured. 78.57 percent advantage for the second line is configured. So strong lines, but those come down to 55.4 and 50.5 in the expected. So interesting, just little nuggets there for those top lines. But I think they're both excellent in this spot going up against this Blue Jackets team that is 28th in the NHL, 126 goals against for the season.
Do they have that many? I said that they were a good defensive team. Maybe I'm just flat.
Okay, I didn't catch that. No, sorry, I wasn't trying to correct you. I didn't catch you saying it. My bad.
No, I look at the team Corsi numbers, and so that's surprising to me that they have given up that many goals. I don't know. Maybe they just stink overall, and I'm giving them more credit than I should. But maybe I should be more on Tampa. I'll have to relook at this one after the show, and I'll let Slack know if I come across anything I think is life changing. I doubt I will, but yeah, I'm definitely in on some Tampa, but not as first look. I thought I would be slamming Tampa 2, Stamkos, Cirelli, Killorn, but I'm just kind of meh on them, even with the low ownership. I think I like a couple spots a little bit better. I will say, I think Hedman, arguably the number 1 defenseman on the slate, just from a peripheral standpoint. I know he's 7,600, but I'm going to try to jam him in and get well over the field here. And I'll probably have some lineups where I have him over Dougie Hamilton for the last spot left in the lineup. And that might be a way to differentiate. It looks like Hedman's coming in at about a third of the ownership as Dougie Hamilton right now.
I like that. Yeah, it's a good pay up spot. Pay up to be a little bit different spot with another, couple big defensemen on the slate. 25 minutes average ice time. Scored seven goals, 29 assists, 20 power play points, and 58 block shots. Just excellent all season long. So, not going to be making a mistake by putting that in your lineup.
Yeah, I love it. And then Seth Jones on the other side, I will say, even though and it's more of a one-off play, but if he correlates with any line, it would probably be the second line if you want to throw Seth Jones in there. Absolutely no problem with that. He's another guy who he's picked up his peripherals a little bit. He started off very, very slow, and I wasn't playing him much, but I've been playing him more recently. I like to look at like the last 10 or 20 games that a guy is like attempting shots, blocking shots, and all that stuff, and try to pick out some stuff a little bit earlier on guys that maybe don't project as well from a median standpoint. And Jones has been one of those guys for me recently. Anything else there? Should we move it on?
I think we covered this one pretty well. Any love for the Blue Jackets goaltender, considering they're probably going to be facing a lot of shots?
Yeah, Korpisalo is definitely. There's one of your volume goalies of the night. You mentioned the goals against. I'm assuming they give up a lot of shots against. For shot attempts, I know it's not like they don't allow a ton, but yeah, Korpisalo 7K. It's definitely a winnable game. We've seen Korpisalo shut down the Blue Jackets a couple times in the last year and a half, usually in big playoff games. This is not one of those, but you could definitely see him getting the 35 save bonus here. And that's really all that matters for 7K. So yeah, good call there. Let's move it on. We've got the Preds and the Red Wings, 2.9 implied total for the Preds, 2.3 for the Wings. Saros and Greiss, neither of these goalies confirmed the last time I checked. Boy, talk about an ugly one here. I guess you can go to some Detroit skaters. I say that with the question mark at the end. Are there any Detroit skaters that you're liking?
Yeah, let me click over to it real quick. I was just looking up the shots against for Columbus. They are third worst in the league with 1,271 shots against this year. Worst team in the league is the Chicago Blackhawks with 1,310 against.
Yeah, that's what I get for not looking at like base stats. Like those raw numbers, like they do matter. They're probably the best predictor of real numbers, but I don't know. I look at more shot attempts. So sometimes my sense of how good a team is, or how good a bad team is, or how good or bad a team is a little bit warped based on the data that I'm looking at. So it's good to point out, though. That's for sure. I'm seeing Chris Juice as a left wing. Is this a new thing? I guess maybe the chat knows. He is a defenseman, so whatever.
I had to make that change in my lineup or my lines tab here, and that one was threw me a little bit. But he's a defenseman on FanDuel. He's a wing on DraftKings, and apparently he's going to be playing the left wing on the top line for the Detroit Red Wings.
I don't think he's going to be playing there. I've been out of commission for the last few days, so maybe that has changed. I highly doubt that they're going with that, but I certainly could be wrong. Detroit's a mess. 2.3 implied total, a little bit higher than the Blue Jackets, but I'm guessing the Preds is what we want to focus on. Do you have a favorite line here? Arvidsson looks like he's questionable for tonight.
Yeah, so it would be, I'd like to get him in there, but I think there's anything on the top two lines there you can get to. The second line has done a little bit better in terms of scoring the puck, and the first line has done a little bit better in terms of controlling the puck. So it depends on what's important to you, but they're both pretty decent. Small samples on both in the current configurations that we've got here. But 53-41 Corsi for percentage with a 3-1 goal advantage, 75% versus a 55% expected goals for, 7-7 even up in high danger chances, 1-1 in conversions. The second line I mentioned controls the puck a little bit worse, 47% Corsi for below average, but a 4-1 goal advantage, which is 80%. But that's compared to a 48.7% expected, little ahead of their expected curve, giving up 16 high danger chances, only created 13. Big fire truck going by outside, 4-0 in high danger conversion. So they've gotten a little bit lucky or gotten out ahead of the expected curve there. But I think those are probably the spots that we're looking at in this game on this team. And then you do get, I didn't look up their specifics, but you do get power play correlation across that third line. So we mentioned it's a night without a lot of third line options. Maybe if that's appealing, not a ton of ownership on them. Not a line that jumped out to me by any means, not a ton of scoring on it or anything, but they do have that power play correlation. So.
Yeah. And as you were talking, I did a quick search on Arvidsson's name just to see if any news had popped up. And it has. Arvidsson is not playing tonight. 16 minutes ago, Nashville Preds account tweeted that out. So there you go. Pretty ugly game overall. Just got a little bit uglier. I don't know what the lines are going to be. And this is not a 7 p.m. Eastern game. It's 7:30 Eastern. So, you're going to be doing some scrambling. There's only 3 games that lock right after the actual lock time. So, have a swap in place if you're going with Johansson and Tolvanen. Things could be really mixed up. But I was eyeing down that Nashville 2 line before I looked at ownership. And, wow, they're one of the chalkiest fillers on the entire slate. So Detroit's bad. I think I will be having some Larkin, Zadina, and like maybe Rasmussen 3-mans. Because the juice thing, I don't know, that's tripping me up a little bit. I don't think you need to play him as a wing. I suppose you could, but just be careful about that one in Fantasy Cruncher because he's listed as a left wing on DK for whatever reason. But yeah, Larkin, Zadina, 2-man, I think that's perfectly fine. But this one, I'm fine just kind of Xing this one out as far as forwards, or at least trying to get underweight on the Granlund, Yarncroc, and Luke Cunnin trio. Yossi, I believe the chalkiest defenseman on the slate tonight, 7,100. He's perfectly fine, regardless if you want to play him with Predators or by himself. Another guy, arguably the number 1 defenseman on the night. Anything else you want to mention in the Preds Red Wings?
I think you hit the high points there. I was just trying to see if I could find anything on that juice news. It does look like the lines site that we all use there is sticking to their guns. They've converted his little player tag to a left wing. He's still up on that top line. So
yeah, I mean,
get back to us anywhere on that. I didn't see.
Yeah, I'm seeing some tweets on Twitter are saying that Larkin and Zadina are just skating together and they don't have a line mate, and that probably means that they're just going to play a lot, especially Larkin. So
just rotate that spot there.
Yeah, it's just going to be I'm guessing a rotating crew of dudes. Maybe Mantha gets up there. That's not a bad idea. Just putting Mantha up there in FC and kind of moving on. But we've got 2 games to get to in only a couple minutes. So let's get to the Stars and the Hawks. 2.7 implied total for the Stars, 2.6 for the Hawks. Udobin and Lankinen, your expected goalies. I really like a top line here. Can you guess which one that is?
I'm guessing you very much like the Blackhawks top line.
It is not. I really like the Stars top line. Hintz, Robertson, and Pavelski. I mean, on a slate that I don't feel great about a lot of stuff, I feel pretty good about Dallas 1. So I'm going to be heavy on them. They're coming up with positive leverage on the top stack tool. Maybe they're a little bit higher owned than what we've got them listed at right now. But if they're anywhere around 10%, I think they're one of the better plays on the night. What do you like here?
Yeah, that's a good call. I mean, they're definitely right there. I was looking on the other side, and I was just kind of going off of some of the ownership. So you're getting a little bit lower ownership on that Chicago line with DeBrincat and Kane on it. So I still like that one. They've got Kirby, is it Doc or Dake? I don't know, Doc in the middle on that line. So it's messing with the overall sample. 85 minutes of them together, 33% actual goals for, 49, right about 50% expected. So I think that'll be fine. The third line I flagged on Chicago as being somewhat interesting. Super small sample, 15-minute sample. But they generated 13 high danger chances and yielded 2 high danger chances in that small sample. They've got a 79.14 expected goals for advantage. That said, they've given up 1 goal and scored none. So just something that was, kind of stood out to me in a 15-minute small sample with Jan Mark Suter and Strome there. Would be a little sneaky and interesting, but yeah, I think for safety and for actual talent and everything, that top line there for Dallas makes some sense. 56.69% Corsi for 3-2 goals advantage, 13 to 14 high danger chances. They're absolutely right there.
Yep, I think good point about Chicago 1. I definitely like them a little bit. I think I just like Dallas 1 a little bit more, and then I like the Suter call as well. Suter, Strome, and Janmark. Definitely some talent on that line. Defenseman, you can go with either Klingberg or Heiskanen with Stars 1, and then I'm not really looking to correlate all that much. Maybe some Connor Murphy on the Chicago side. Boquist is going to play on that top power play likely. Anything else there?
No, I think that one's got it. We hit the high points.
All right, Ducks Sharks last game of the night, 2.4 implied total for the Ducks, 3.2 for the Sharks. Gibson, Marty Jones. The Sharks are going to be chalk.
You think?
Yeah. So we've got them both their lines up above 10%. I think it might even be a little bit higher than that. They're great options. I can't even get off the chalk here. Like, I'm having a hard time not playing Sharks in a lot of my lineups.
Yeah, killer spot for the Sharks. Ducks probably the worst team in the league. The last in the West, 11 wins on the year, 29 points in 39 games. 30th with 86 goals for, 29th with 128 goals against. Worst power play in the league at 10.47%. 24th in the league, 76.58% penalty kill. They are bad, and the Sharks are pretty talented. That top line, 457-minute sample, very good puck possession numbers, very good goal scoring numbers, and high danger chances. Second line's got the same thing going on, so I think we can get to either one of those combinations. Even if you wanted to dip down and go to the third line there, they're not bad together. Some good players on that line. You're taking a little bit of a chance, but you're paying down and not getting very much of any ownership. And you're throwing a line that's not owned at a bad team. So I think it could make some sense there. Nothing really, I guess, if we were talking in terms of you have to play one of these lines from the Ducks, I would probably simplify and just go to the top line, but their numbers aren't very good. Sub-average in Corsi 4, below average goals for advantage, just not much to see here. So, maybe you go to the fully correlated top line with the power play there and work in a Kevin Shattenkirk or a Cam Fowler on the blue line, something like that. But, for me, it would be all about the Sharks.
Yep. I love the Sharks here. I would say if you start out with a lot of Sharks, you don't have the absolute nuts going into this last game. You're going to have basically all the information of the entire slate. Besides this game, when this starts, you should be swapping to Ducks and leave salary on the table. Like, you should be trying to cash your lineups if you're heavy on the Sharks. I think you could full power play stack them. You could Josh stack them. Great spot. Hat trick pick. I got David Pastrnak. Who do you have, Terry? Kind of putting you on the spot here.
Oh, geez. Yeah, I didn't even think about it. I'll take Evander Kane again. I think I did that the last time because the Sharks were in the last game.
That's right. Pretty good option there. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It will be, I believe it's Josh and Cliffy once again tomorrow. You get more of them. Good luck, and we'll catch you back here in 24 hours.